What do they mean by that?
Nobody can control you but us. You must return home. Your time is running out. We do have our own fail-safe measures. It shows the symbol, the delta symbol turned with the point down, meaning killed. Remember the word Malakia. Think about it. Malakia was another assassination where they killed a number of people to get one man on a bus. Killed everybody there. So they're just showing him that you're not worried about people around you. You take out the whole neighborhood if necessary, but we'll have our way.
What did they mean by test tube program? Did you ask him that?
Yeah, we did. He said he didn't know.
That he was a member of a test tube program?
Yeah, he said he didn't know. He was his mother abandoned him when he was an infant, and he was his foster parents raised him. I don't know that he was even adopted by them. He doesn't know anything about his history. So when they told me it was a test tube program, he was ready to believe it because he had no other information about his family. Wow. Well, when he really got scared when he found out that a termination order had been issued on him. And he was a CIA agent. When he came back and told me that yes, there's a termination order out, and my mentor told me what to do. So evidently he didn't tell the mentor that he still had 3 more stashes of pictures. And he boarded my car and he went off and he came back. Then began acting a little suspiciously. He took my high-8 video camera and to a hawk shop and pawned it.
He was going to spill the beans, and he was going to go to a conference in Los Angeles, and I think it was Sean David Morton that we were going to meet, or he was going to meet, and he had we didn't see him the night before, and he said he was going to go to the airport, and I forget if we gave him the money for a ticket or what, and they were waiting for him at the airport, and he never showed. And there was a lot of phone calls back and forth, and it wasn't my job to be his manager to get him there. I somehow recall knowing about it or being in a couple phone calls or two.
How many days did he spend with you in total, Jim and John Connor?
Yeah,
Connor.
At least a month.
A month?
At least a month. So it was entertaining. I had other things that I was doing. I shouldn't say entertaining. I mean, it was just what was going on.
You didn't put a lot of credence in what he was showing you and what he was saying?
No, I didn't. Not at the time. Not at the time. But 2 events happened that changed my mind about the seriousness of the situation. He never left the property except one night. It was Thanksgiving night. My brother was having Thanksgiving dinner at his restaurant, so we did talk him into coming with us. We all got in the vehicle. I had an inner gate and an outer gate. So we all got in my vehicle in the inner gate. We left, and I closed the gate, locked it, everyone in the car, then went down the driveway. Outer gate, open, closed, locked that. Came back a few hours later, it was dark, opened the outer gate, went in, got to the inner gate. There was a note, a bag, a little sandwich bag up on the gate, and it was dark, so I just took it down, said, well, somebody left a note, must be somebody that knows me to get to the inner gate, so I threw it on the front seat of the car, opened the other gate, drove in, locked it, went in the house, everyone went to their guest houses. Susan Gordon was in the house with me. I heard a loud scream from the kitchen, went in the kitchen, as Susan was showing me the bag, which had a chopped off bloody finger in the bag, and a note that we could read inside the bag that said, "Time to come home, grasshopper," or TWEP, which I came to know stands for Terminate with Extreme Prejudice. It seemed like this wasn't a note for me, so I went to Jim. Jim went to John, also now we knew him as Derek Hennessy. and it was decided that it was time for Derek to go. Derek started making phone calls, made arrangements that the vehicle that he could have come pick him up would only be temporary, and did I know someone else that could loan a vehicle or buy a vehicle. Or I made arrangements. They left in the one vehicle, met the other people, left in a vehicle that was a white van, belonged to a friend of mine who was going to loan it to them, quote, for a few weeks.
What happened to the finger?
The finger was taken by Jim Cox and Derek Hennessy, and I never saw it again.
His last words were that he would retrieve the last stash package and put it in our hands before he left. He would contact us with instructions again in a few hours. He had already lost 2 stashes, and we had the notes, penmanship notes, indicating that they had gotten us the stash at such and such a place, and then another. First one in a locker. There's a picture of a locker and a circle and a line drawn through it. And the next one was someplace else, and the third one was someplace else, and he had a 4th one that he had sent over to Florida to an acquaintance there to hold and be released in case something happened to him. So they decided to drive over to Florida to pick that stash up.
Who did?
Jim and Connor.
Okay.
At the time, Omniconic was here in town, and Jim couldn't get anybody to go with him. He invited everybody he could to go along with him and Connor to pick up the note, because he wasn't that safe, didn't feel that safe with Connor either. And even though Connor was telling him, Jim, that you're one of us. You and I are from the same, we belong to the same people. And
now Jim was Navy, right?
Yeah.
Was he Navy at that time?
No, he was out. He was retired.
So did Connor know that about Jim?
Yeah, he knew he'd been. He knew all about it.
So is that what he meant? You're one of us, or?
I don't know what he meant by it, but he said you know, you and I were born in the same year. We're the same age. We have a lot of the same experiences, and that was true. So anyway, when they're going to go over to Florida, and they drove up to Phoenix first to talk to Jim Dilettoso about something. And there, between the 3 of them, they decided that taking Jim's Jeep at the time was probably not the best idea, because it was vulnerable. The lug nuts could be unscrewed. There was no lock nuts on it. And they decided to switch cars. When they left Dilettoso's shop, they decided they were looking for somebody else to go along, a third party to go along with them. And the only one that would go was Omniconic. She had guts. She got in the car with him, went all the way to Florida with him back.
And they headed off for Florida, which I didn't know then. Got a phone call that they were en route. Kept getting phone calls all along the way. Some from Jim Cox, some from Derek, with these emergencies that were going on. People had shot at the vehicle. One call was from Derek that Jim had been shot and that they had to get him to medical attention. The other was the vehicle had been all shot up. They had to buy another vehicle. Could I send money? Could I send more money?
The first day out, near the end of the first day out, I got a frantic call from Connor telling me that they had just been intercepted and the car was shot full of holes and bullet holes in the door, and Jim was wounded, and he needed to get him to the hospital, and he needed $500 wired immediately. And I said, well, let me talk to Jim. He said, I can't. He's unconscious, man. And I said, well, how do I know that he's hurt? He said, I can't put him on the phone because he's unconscious, but I got to get him to a hospital. He's bleeding bad. So I said, okay, take him to an emergency hospital and have them call me.
Are you suspecting a ploy by Orion?
Well, I wasn't sure. I got another call in about 3/4 of the way there from someplace in Louisiana, and he said that he's getting better, but he sure needs medical attention. And I told him I'll take him to an emergency hospital, get his attention, have them call me. I didn't hear anything from that.